I approach the witness? Mr. Santiago, I want to show you 4 exhibits here, 4 items, and ask you to tell us if you recognize. First is State's Exhibit 71. You know what State's Exhibit 71 contains? It's an envelope there.
Yes, in my writing, it's item number 1, the magazine.
Okay. Let me ask you about 72. Do you know what that is?
Again, in my writing, it's the cartridges, the bullets that were inside of the magazine, item number 1.
Which is State's Exhibit 71.
Yes.
What about State's Exhibit 73?
This was the item number 2 in the photo, the fired bullet in my handwriting on the outside of the envelope.
Let me show you a brown paper bag here, State's Exhibit 74. You know what the contents of this bag
Yes, this is item number 3, the cell phone that was on the floor in the photo.
Now, these are the actual items you collected from the crime scene out there at the Gable Apartments on September 2nd, 2015.
Yes.
Okay. Now, our state offers State Exhibit 71, 72, 73, and 74. Mayor, may I have the witness step down to publish?
You may.
Okay. Come on down, Mr. Santiago, please. Let's show the jury what these items are. I want to start with State's Exhibit 71. We'll reach in here. Now, this is what you referred to as the magazine, is that right?
Yes, the pistol magazine.
So, referring back to these pictures, State's Exhibit 59, we see which placard is indicated here, what I've got in my hand, State's Exhibit 71.
That's item number 1.
So what I'm holding in my hand, State's Exhibit 71, is what you actually collected from the crime scene. The jury can see placard number 1.
Yes, it is.
And so they can see a little bit closer. In State's Exhibit 60, that is this item.
Yes, it is.
Now let's go, right now we can see it's empty. Now did you find any cartridges, any bullets, ammunition in this thing?
Yes, as the second envelope is marked, 13 bullets or cartridges were found inside of the magazine.
So this is State's Exhibit 72, and I'll just take some of these out of here. There's 13 of them, but just so the jury can kind of see what we're looking at here. These are, I guess, what we would call a live round.
Yes.
So in that magazine you found there were 13 of these live rounds.
Yes, sir.
That's all contained in State's Exhibit 72. Now let me go to State's Exhibit 73. Which item number was this, Mr. Santiago?
This was item number 2 in the photo and on the envelope.
So we can understand where this was collected. Is that represented in State's Exhibit 59 by that placard number 2 on it?
Yes.
And so this is actually a bullet that you found on the ground.
A fired bullet found on the ground, yes.
I want to go to State's Exhibit 74. State's Exhibit 74 is a cell phone. Is that what it looks like?
Yes.
Is that indicated as a placard number 3 in State's Exhibit 59? Thank you, Mr. President. You can take your seat. Now, after collecting these items, photographing, processing the scene, fingerprints taken, attempted to see if you could identify the prints, were you able to identify any prints off of any of these items?
Not at the time, sir.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you did not go into the white Toyota, is that right?
That is correct.
So tell the jury what happened with that white Toyota in terms of, where it was processed, if any evidence was collected.
The white Toyota was then towed to the Dallas City Pound and placed in an area where it could be processed later on upon obtaining a search warrant.
Now, with your exterior examination of the Toyota at the crime scene in the garage there, aside from that cartridge case, the fired cartridge case that you saw, did you see any other items? Did you see a purse? Did you see car keys, a phone, anything like that inside the vehicle?
I do not remember seeing anything else in there, no.
As part of your protocol, your training experience, if you had, would you have taken a picture of it?
Yes, I would have.
So, Mr. Santiago, after you processed the crime scene there, did you have any additional involvement in this particular case?
After the car was towed to the Dallas City Pound and a warrant was obtained, a search warrant, I did meet the investigator at the pound and process the vehicle.
Now, I want to make sure we're clear on which vehicle we're talking about. So let's move forward to September 10th. Do you recall being dispatched out to the Dallas Police Department auto pound?
Yes, to process a vehicle, not the white Toyota.
Right. You're not the one that was involved in processing and getting inside that white Toyota?
Correct.
So what vehicle were you asked to come process at the Dallas Auto Pound on September 10th, 2015?
A dark SUV, and I would have to refer to my notes to give you the year, make, or model.
Would that have been a Jeep Cherokee?
Dark colored Jeep Cherokee, yes.
Remember, approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Santiago, I'm going to show you 15 photographs. These are State's Exhibits 92 through 106. Let me give you a moment to take a look at those and see if those are photographs that you recognize.
Yes, I do recognize the vehicle in these photographs.
And for your just refreshing of your memory, I know it's been 3 years. I'm showing you here. Is that a copy of your report from when you processed this vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Would it help you refresh your memory if you just had that with you to sort of refresh
Yes,
your memory?
yes, it might.
Okay.
Yes.
State offers State's Exhibits 92 through 106.
No objection.
Committed.
Mr. Santiago, you already kind of explained to the jury what it involves to process a scene, but here we're talking about a vehicle. Explain to the jury what you did with this vehicle, this Jeep that you processed on September 10, 2015.
Well, as in all crime scenes or items from a crime scene, photographs are always taken of the item. In this case, the Jeep Cherokee. The exterior and the interior are photographed prior to any handling of any items that may or may not be in that vehicle. Processing for fingerprints is also attempted, and/or DNA swabs and/or fiber or hair samples are collected from the vehicle. Any of those or all of those three things can be done with the vehicle.
And just so we're clear, in terms of, processing, analyzing DNA and fibers, that's not your neck of the woods. You've got people at the crime lab to do that, is that right?
Yes, we have a lab, but we're not able to do those processes there.
You collect the items and they're submitted to somebody else for testing?
Hair and fiber and DNA, yes, sir.
Fair enough. So what we're looking at up on the screen is State's Exhibit 92. Is that a picture of the Jeep, a dark Jeep that you processed on September 10, 2015?
Yes, it is.
State's Exhibit 93, front view there. Let me go to State's Exhibit 94. Now again, is this your protocol? As we saw with the Toyota, you photographed the exterior of the vehicle.
Yes, as
Why are you
I'm
doing that?
just to show how the item, in this case the vehicle, was prior to my handling the vehicle for any other evidence.
Exhibit 95 is the rear of the vehicle, is that right?
Yes,
What do we see in 96?
yes,
And then 97, that's just the rear quarter panel there.
yes,
Moving forward to 98.
yes,
Passenger side.
yes.
Why are you taking, in 1990, why are you taking a picture like that?
If we see indentations or damage to the vehicle, as in the two earlier photographs, there was a white mark along the side of the vehicle. It could be or it could not be any type of evidence later on. This was just a dent in the car.
So it may or may not be significant, you just photograph it just for someone else to determine whether it is or isn't.
Or for myself to find out later on it was involved in the scene.
Let's go to the other side of the vehicle, the driver's side there. Say it's Exhibit 100. And then 101, what are you photographing here?
The interior from the driver's side of the vehicle.
102, the rear side.
Driver's side, rear side, yes, sir.
Now we'll go back to the passenger side, the interior, State's Exhibit 103.
Passenger side, interior, front door. Passenger side, rear, interior, from the rear door.
And that's in 104. Let me go back to 103. I want to circle something here. Center there. Now, what did that item turn out to be?
That turned out to be a receipt, a store receipt.
So let me flip to State's Exhibit 105. The State's Exhibit 105, a picture of what I just circled there in State's Exhibit 103.
Yes,
So it was kind of in that center console between, the center part of the vehicle
between the driver's seat and passenger seat, yes, sir.
and 106. You see a close-up of that, is that correct?
Yes,
Your man, please.
Yes, sir.
And then approach. Mr. Santiago, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 107. I'm going to take the contents out here. Do you recognize what this item is, State's Exhibit 107?
yes, that is the receipt that I found inside the vehicle.
This is the actual piece of paper that they see in the picture up there on the screen.
Yes, it is.
Now, Your Honor, may I go ahead and read and publish this to the jury what it is? You know, 107, state on 107.
No, dude.
This is a receipt from Sonic at 8602 South Polk Street in Dallas at 3:53 p.m. on September 2nd, 2015, where 6 corn dogs, a high-C punch were ordered. This is the receipt that was found in the vehicle. Mr. Santiago, after you have collected this item, are there any other items in that Jeep that you found that you collected?
I'd have to refer to my report here. Yes, there were DNA swabs collected from the vehicle.
And then those are submitted on the hopes that maybe we can get lucky and get some DNA.
Yes.
Mr. Santiago, I want to go back to one more item here. I'm going to go back to the crime scene. This is State's Exhibit 70, but I'm going to put back up on the screen. I just want to make something clear for the jury. State's Exhibit 70 was the diagram which indicated the location, kind of the layout of that back road where you found Kendra Hatcher's body and you photographed her vehicle. I want to refer specifically to this open space right there. Why is there no vehicle in that space in this? Would that indicate that there was no car parked there at the time?
That is correct. Yeah.
Mr. Santiago, I appreciate your time. I have no further questions of Master Witness.
I have no question of this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down. You're free to leave the courthouse.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please take hold of your witness, please.
Judge, may he find you excused?
Yes, sir.
This guy calls Rosie Singh. Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
We're going to call Santiago Oviedo.
Good afternoon, sir. You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the court of order.
Yes, sir. My name is Eduardo Oviedo, O-V-I-E-D-O.
How are you currently employed, sir?
I've been with the Dallas Police Department for approximately 15 years, 6 years as a patrol officer and 9 years as a crime scene detective.
Where are you currently assigned at this point?
I'm still in crime scene, sir.
Are you a police officer, certified police officer in the laws of the state of Texas?
Yes, sir.
Are you assigned to the same unit that Mr. Santiago just testified that he had retired from recently?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you, however, are a certified police officer. Tell the jury what the difference is there in terms of that, your duties as a crime scene.
Our unit used to be sworn officers that became crime scene detectives. The department has gone to the point where they're civilianizing our unit now. So as we leave or retire or get promoted, they replace us with a civilian analyst.
In your experience as a crime scene analyst, how many crime scenes do you think you've processed?
I couldn't tell you, sir. It's been 9 years. It's a lot of crime scenes.
Hundreds? Thousands?
Probably 1,000.
Tell the jury a little bit about your training and experience to do the job.
Yes, sir. My job is to respond to crime scenes and identify, collect, and process any physical evidence we might find at the scenes. My training conducted of 2 weeks of classroom and then 10 weeks out in the field with a field training officer. So it's approximately 3 months of training, and then you're pretty much out on your own.
I want to direct your attention to September 4th, 2015, about 9:20 in the morning. Were you dispatched out to the Dallas Police Department out of town?
Yes, sir.
What was the nature of the call that got you out to that location?
I believe it was Homicide Detective Cheney who requested us out to the auto pound to process, I believe it was a 2007 white Toyota Camry.
And did it come to your attention at some point that this is the Toyota Camry that belonged to Kendra Hatcher, who'd been killed 2 days before?
Correct.
Explain to the jury what your job is when you get out there to the scene.
This was a follow-up. When we go out to crime scenes, and we initially get there, we start from the beginning of the investigation all the way through. A follow-up's a little bit different. The investigation has already started, and they'll continue to call us out to different scenes or to process different things. On this day, they wanted to specifically get photographs of the vehicle. I believe they requested some DNA swabs, and also to search for any firearms evidence inside the vehicle.
Detective Oviedo, I'm going to show you 10 photographs. These are State's Exhibits 332 through 341. Are these photographs that you took of Kendra Hatcher's Toyota on September 4th, 2015?
Yes, sir.
Officer State's Exhibits 332 through 341.
No objection.
Detective Oviedo, explain to the jury how a vehicle that is, involved in a homicide or any crime for that matter gets from the crime scene to the auto pound.
Normally, they place on hold on for the detectives that are doing the investigation, and they tow it to the pound, and it stays there until the detectives decide what they want to do process-wise.
So it's not like someone just jumps in the driver's seat and drives it over the pound. It's
No, sir.
totally.
Correct, it's towed.
We started here with State Exhibit 332. Is that Kendra Hatcher's Toyota as it was out there at the pound that day?
I believe so, yes, sir.
At the front, State Exhibit 333. What's that?
That is the driver's side of the vehicle.
Now, at this point, to the best of your knowledge, has anybody gone in and taken anything out of this vehicle?
I don't think so, sir.
You guys had a search warrant to get in the vehicle, is that correct?
Correct. My recollection is that Detective Cheney had a warrant in hand to process the vehicle at the scene.
334, we're looking at the driver's side back passenger seat, is that right?
Yes, the left rear passenger seat.
What do we see in 335?
That's the passenger side of the vehicle.
336, what do we see?
That's the right rear passenger seat.
In the back, it's an umbrella. What's that on the floorboard there?
I believe it was a sun visor.
One of those window shades you put up in the front windshield?
Correct.
I want to go to 337. Now, in 337, what are we looking at here?
That's the right front passenger seat of the vehicle.
338 is a little bit closer up. Tell the jury what's significant about State's Exhibit 338.
That's the fire cartridge case that was found on the right front passenger floorboard.
Is that what you're referring to that I circled there on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Go to State's Exhibit 339 here. What's this?
That's just a close-up of the fire cartridge case.
On State's Exhibit 340, explain to the jury what this is.
That's just a marker to mark the evidence before it's collected.
So in State's Exhibit 341, then
That's just a close-up with the marker.
you actually collected that cartridge case?
Yes, sir.
You ever may approach the witness?
You may.
If I could have the lens, please.
Sorry?
If I could have the lens, please. Detective Oviedo, let me show you State's Exhibit 75. Do you know what that envelope contains?
Yes, sir. It's the fire cartridge case that I collected.
So what the jury's looking at, that cartridge case is actually contained here in this envelope.
Correct.
State Officer State's Exhibit 75.
Okay.
Admitted?
Yeah, published to the jury
You
notice.
may.
Detective, what they're looking at is actually the cartridge case from the floorboard of the passenger side of Kendra Hatcher's vehicle.
Correct.
Detective Oviedo, what do you do with this cartridge case once you collect it from the car?
Once we collect it, it's transported back to the lab where it's processed for latent prints, and then it's submitted for kniving testing.
Detective Oviedo, I appreciate you taking the time to come down today. You're on right past the witness.
I have no questions for this witness.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down and you're free to leave the courthouse.
Thank you.
Your Honor, State calls Rosie Singh.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you introduce yourself to the jury?
I am Dr. Rosie Singh, and I am one of Kendra's best friends.
Would you spell your first and last name for the benefit of the court?
First name is Rosie, R-O-S-Y. Last name is Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
And Dr. Singh, what kind of practice do you have?
I'm a pediatric dentist, so I just finished a residency program.
Did you and Kendra do the same residency?
No, we went to different schools, but we had a lot of common things in common, so we became friends and just...
Would you describe it as a very close friendship?
Absolutely.
And you recently just moved back to the area, is that fair?
That is correct.
Where had you moved to?
Nashville,
And when did you move back to Dallas?
August.
And where do you currently practice? Where's your practice?
I'm actually currently searching for jobs, so I'm not working quite yet.
Very good. I want to take you back to September the 2nd of 2015, and you recall the events of that day as it pertains to you. That'd be a fair statement.
Correct.
And on that day, was there something that you and Kendra were supposed to do or exchange?
Yes, that's correct.
And what was that you were supposed to exchange?
A waterproof camera.
And is it a camera that you had borrowed from Kendra?
Yes, I had.
And why did Kendra want it back that day?
Kendra was taking a vacation with her boyfriend Ricky, and it was for September the 3rd, and she was going to Mexico on a lovely vacation, so, you know, she's going to do scuba diving, so she needed the waterproof camera for a trip.
So she was leaving the very next day.
Correct.
And do you know how long you had the camera yourself?
Since January.
So you wasn't really pressing for her
No.
to get it back till it was time for her trip?
No, I saw her often, so it wasn't, you know, it was kind of like what's mine is hers and what's hers, you know, we shared things, so.
What arrangements did y'all make for Kendra picking the camera up?
I lived in an apartment building in Uptown. I had a doorman, so I contacted the doorman. I was not home, and the doorman allowed Kendra to my apartment to get the camera.
And you weren't there?
Correct.
When you got home that day or that evening, were you able to tell that she had been there and picked up the camera?
I was actually traveling for Labor Day, and I did not return home that day.
Was there something that when you got home that day that let you know, I mean, when you got home eventually, was there something that let you know that she had been there and had picked up the camera?
Yes.
And what was that?
I returned home September the 13th after her funeral, and there was a note on my kitchen counter from Kendra.
There was a note from Kendra. And do you recall where approximately you left the camera back on September the 2nd?
It was in my closet in my bedroom.
And you had let her know where to go get it?
Correct.
Now, you said there was a note from Kendra to you. Do you have that note?
Yes, I do.
Here, Coach Wiltshire. And it's approximately 3 years later, and you still have that note.
Yes.
Is that because of how close Kendra was to you?
Yeah,
You wanted to keep a reminder of her?
of course. She was like my sister.
And where's that note? Take a look at what's marked as State's Exhibit 138 and tell me if that appears to be a photocopy of this note.
Yes, it is.
Not altered in any way? It
No.
reads exactly as it reads
It
here.
was exactly where it was sitting the same day.
And with your friendship with Kendra, you would recognize her handwriting.
Absolutely.
Okay, is this her handwriting?
Yes, it is.
All right, at this point, we would offer State's Exhibit 138.
No objection.
Permission published. Dr. Singh, would you, looking at the original, would you read to the jury what that note says?
The note says, "Thank you, sister friend. You're the best. Hope you had a great trip home. See you soon this week. Love you, Kendra."
How did you find out that Kendra had been killed?
Her boyfriend, I was traveling on an airplane, and so once I landed, I went to Michigan to visit my family, and her boyfriend had sent me a text and a voicemail, and so I had spoken to him after I landed. So that evening, probably around 9, 10 o'clock at night, I believe.
Would that be Dr. Ricardo?
Yes, that is correct.
And the time that you spent with Kendra, you would have been around her at the time that relationship started. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And was this a relationship that was moving pretty fast in terms of how close they were getting to each other?
I think they really connected, so, I mean, I feel like they had many things in common, and so I think that I can't really define whether it was moving fast. It may have been just perfect for them. So I can't 100% answer that.
But you could tell that Kendra was excited.
Absolutely. She was very, very thrilled. It was like the love of her life.
Was the camera there when you got back home?
It was not.
Pass the witness.
No questions.
Thank you, Danny Mason.
Judge, may this witness be excused?
She may.
Call Moses Olvera. Judge, we need to change the lineup. We're going to call Dr. Ricardo Paniagua.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you just speak directly into the microphone, try and keep your voice up. Court reporter is taking down everything you're saying, so she can't really take down uh-huhs or uh-ohs, things of that nature.
Okay.
Introduce yourself to the jury, please.
I'm Ricardo Paniagua.
You have a very soft voice, Dr. Paniagua. Could you pull that microphone closer to you a little bit more?
Ricardo Paniagua,
And Dr. Paniagua, what kind of doctor are you?
a dermatologist.
And where do you currently reside?
I'm currently in the Sacramento area,
Prior to being in the Sacramento area, where did you live?
San Francisco,
And before San Francisco?
in Dallas.
How long had you lived in Dallas?
4 years.
Now, as far as being a dermatologist, do you have to do this residency? Is the residency part of that training?
Correct. That's what brought me to Dallas initially. I did residency training from July 2011 until June of 2014.
And what hospital was that?
It was a mixture of UT Southwestern, Parkland Hospital, Children's Hospital, and the VA Hospital.
And now you practice outside of Sacramento?
Correct. I'm at Kaiser Permanente, specifically in Roseville, California.
And Dr. Paniagua, I'm going to kind of take you back to the year. Well, let me ask you this. Do you know a woman by the name of Brenda Delgado?
Yes.
How do you know Brenda Delgado?
Brenda and I dated from around the fall of 2012 until summer of 2014. We ended the relationship then and then dated for another time between about November of 2014 until February of 2015.
So when we get to February of 2015, that's when the two of y'all finally separate and no longer in a relationship.
Correct.
Now, do you know Brenda Delgado's mom?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you know her mom?
I had met her a few times in visiting her home, and then later on she was starting a house cleaning business, and I had her clean my house.
This is her mom that started a house cleaning business.
Correct.
And you became one of her customers
Correct.
during the same time frame as you were dating Brenda Delgado.
Correct.
And after you and Brenda stopped dating each other, were there several months where her mom continued to be your housekeeper?
Yes.
And to be your housekeeper, what kind of access would her mom have to have to your apartment?
So she would go to the office, and she was listed as somebody who would be able to have access to my apartment even if I wasn't home. And my understanding is that one of the members of the staff would walk her to my apartment and open the door for her to allow her to be inside.
Do you know whether or not they would require that person to show them an ID when they showed up to be escorted to your apartment?
I don't know that specifically. It would just be an assumption if I said yes or no.
Do you know whether or not when her mom would come to the apartment, did she always come by herself?
My understanding was that she would, but again, I wouldn't necessarily, if somebody came with her, I wouldn't necessarily know one way or another.
Would there be times when you were out of town traveling that her mom would still stop by to do the housekeeping at your apartment?
Yes, in fact, the majority of the time I wasn't home. It was set up so that she would come, one of the days that I was in clinic. So I typically was not home when she was doing the house cleaning.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
Doctor, I want to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 79 and ask you if you recognize this person.
Yes,
And who is that in State's Exhibit 79?
Brenda Delgado.
And this is the same Brenda Delgado that you had dated off and on for about 2.5 years?
Correct.
There's where all the State's 79.
Okay.
Admitted.
Now, after y'all's breakup in February of 2015, were there times that you would still have contact with Brenda Delgado?
We remain platonic friends, so occasionally we would text.
So,
Yes.
time you just text her to see how she's doing and see how things are going.
Or vice versa, yes.
Were there also times where you would find yourself someplace and all of a sudden there's Brenda at the same place?
Yes, that did happen on occasion. That happened reasonably often I would go running at the Katy Trail, and sometimes while I was running in one direction, she would be running in the opposite direction. Another time when I was at a restaurant in the Dallas area with a female companion, and she also kind of presented herself to the same location. Those were kind of off the top of my head right now.
And at the time, did you think anything untoward was taking place, or these were just mere coincidences?
I just thought of it as coincidence.
Now, these times we are talking about from roughly February up through May of 2015. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And in May of 2015, did you meet someone that you became very interested in?
Yes.
Would that be Dr. Kendra Hatcher?
Yes.
Did the two of y'all meet through online dating?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time y'all went out?
The first date was at the end of May. It was May 24th. We went to a restaurant on McKinney, the Cozy Kitchen.
Mayor Pro Tem?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 81 and ask you if you recognize that.
Yes.
Is this the profile page you had put on the dating site?
Yes.
You want to read off the State's 81?
I have.
Commissioner Cutler?
You may.
So your first date was at a place called Cozy Kitchen. What part of town is that in? If you remember.
The uptown area, I think.
And from that first date, did the two of y'all kind of really become interested in each other?
Yes, things progressed quite rapidly with Kendra.
And did it become an exclusive relationship?
Yes.
And did that happen fairly soon?
Yes.
So from end of May to September the 2nd, we are talking about a relationship that was there for you for 4 months and probably a week. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
And so the two of y'all are getting very close, and do you start traveling together?
Yes. We had gone on several trips together.
What kind of places did y'all travel to?
We went to the Travasa Resort located outside Austin. We took 3 trips to California, one for my 20-year reunion, another for kind of related to work that I was going to start, and a third for my cousin's wedding.
That trip to your cousin's wedding, was that in San Francisco?
We flew into San Francisco. It was in the Chico, California area.
Now, during the same time frame, Brenda Delgado is still, maybe infrequently, but she's still reaching out to you from time to time.
Yeah, I consider her a platonic friend. Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you had a vehicle that you were having some trouble with, a truck, I believe.
Yes.
And did she offer to help you find somebody that could fix that truck at a reasonable price?
Yes.
And this information, we all doing this information, texting each other back and forth.
To help coordinate that, yes.
So at that point, she's still trying to maintain that she's just a friend. She's not trying to do anything other than be a platonic friend, at least on text.
Exactly. That's how she had presented herself.
So when we get to Labor Day weekend of 2015, had you and Kendra planned a trip for that weekend?
Yes, the very next day, the day after she was killed, we were planning to go to Cancun
And how long were y'all going to be there?
for about 4 days.
And were y'all planning to leave on September the 3rd?
Yes, that Thursday.
This awful thing happened on September the 2nd.
Yes.
Tell the jury what you were doing that day or what you and Kendra had planned that day, September the 2nd.
September the 2nd. So on September 2nd, I was at UT Southwestern working at clinic that afternoon, and Kendra also was working that day. Wednesday was the day of the week when she would often work a little bit later than normal. She would start work around 1 o'clock and she would finish work around 7. So a little bit shifted forward compared to her normal schedule. After my clinic, I went to my apartment. I gathered some of my items, and then I took an Uber to Kendra's apartment. That was around 5 o'clock. And after getting into her apartment, then I went running around 6 o'clock, finished running close to 7, showered, quickly got ready. By this time, I'm getting some texts from Kendra that she's on her way. Around 6, a little before 7 o'clock, she sent a message saying that she's on her way. And then about 20 minutes later, she sent another message that said that she was going to be going to Rosie's apartment to pick up her underwater camera in anticipation of the trip. We're continuing to text back and forth a little bit. She sends another text a little after 7:30, around 7:35, and she again says she's on her way. And then another 20 minutes goes by, and I haven't heard from her, and I sent a text inquiring about, did she eat yet? Have you had dinner? What are we going to do about dinner for tonight? And I don't hear back from her. At that point, the text message was showing that it did not go through. It was with her phone plan, if she was talking on the phone, for example, and you try to send a text message, if she was on the phone, then it wasn't one that would go through.
Let me stop you there, Doctor. You said that you were waiting for her to get home from work. Do you remember where her job was?
The exact address, I would know by on a map.
May I approach you? Show you states exhibits 76 and 77. These are screenshots of a map. Can you see on each one of these exhibits where Kendra's office was?
Yes.
And would that have been on Grauweiler?
Correct.
We would offer states 76 and 77.
No objection.
Mr. Powers? So typically, how long would it take Kendra to get from her job back home?
So if she was going direct, then it would be sometime between about 7:15 to 7:30 p.m.
Look at that screen to your, you see that dot, that little dot?
Yes.
Is that approximately the address of where her office was?
Yes.
And then looking at states exhibit 77. It's a little closer shot of the area where her office would be. Is that about right?
Yes.
And that evening, after you're doing the text back and forth, and then you're texting her, you're not getting a response, I believe you testified. But you could tell she was on the phone?
Well, that's what I thought at the time, because an analogous situation had happened about 2 weeks prior on one of the trips that we took when we went to San Francisco for my cousin's wedding. She got home kind of late on a Wednesday night. We were leaving Thursday morning, and she had sent a series of texts saying that she was basically, on her way home, and then kind of at the last moment, she made a decision that she didn't like the shoes that she was going to be bringing to the wedding, and so she ended up going to the mall, and she was talking on the phone that whole time. And so in a similar manner, if I were to send a text at that time, it didn't show that it was going through. So that's kind of what I thought had happened on the evening of September 2nd.
And this prior incident that you were just talking about, do you remember what she told you when she got home, that particular incident?
In terms of where she went, or in terms of
what to do or not to do?
Oh.
That's when she's done.
Yeah, so she ended up getting home around 9 or 9:30, and at the time I had just decided to wait for her to get dinner, and she told me that, basically if a situation like that were to arise in the future, that don't think that I have to wait for her, just basically go out and get food. And so that evening of September 2nd, it seemed to be almost exactly the same.
Almost the exact same scenario was playing out.
Almost exactly the same scenario. I mean, the timing was, almost exactly the same. And so, close to 8 o'clock, at first I was just kind of probing to see if she wanted to get food with me. I didn't hear back from her. So then just a little bit after 8 o'clock, I sent another text saying, I'm starting to get a little bit lightheaded. I think I'm going to go ahead and go out and get some food, just with her words from 2 weeks prior echoing in the background as far as, if there's something like this were to happen, then just go and get some food.
Approach the witness, Your Honor. Doctor, I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 78 and State's Exhibit 80. Looking at 78, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
And what is State 78? What is this a picture of?
Of Kendra Hatcher and I.
Do you remember approximately when this picture was taken?
That would have been the first week of June. That was actually the first photo that we ever took together.
Okay, I think in this picture she's wearing a sweater that says, "I'm with Dreamy."
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think our last meeting, Mr. Fitzmartin asked you if you bought that sweater for her.
I did not buy that for her. That was all her.
And then State's Exhibit 80, what does that appear to be?
That's another photo of Kendra Hatcher and I.
Now, do you know if this photo came from your Facebook page or her Facebook page?
So that would have been a photo that would have been on my Facebook wall. In other words, only people who were friends with me would have had access to that. That was not a profile photo for me, but that would have been a photo of that would have been up on Kendra's Facebook page, in which she kept at public access, so effectively anybody could see what she was posting.
Are you aware of any reason that your Facebook photographs that are on your wall, as you say, are you aware of any reason why those photographs would be on a phone owned by Brenda Delgado?
No.
Now, read off the States 78, States 80. No,
Admitted? You may.
So State 78, that's the photograph. It's kind of blown up right now, but the jury will be able to see when they take this back with them, make out the captions with Dreamy. That'd be a fair statement. Would they be able to tell that that sweatshirt reads, "I'm with Dreamy"?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit 80, that would be the photograph you just described as being on your Facebook wall.
Correct.
Now, before you had started dating Kendra in May, you had also dated another person who the first name was Randy.
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember about how long the two of y'all dated?
We were dating in around March, April and May of 2015.
Okay. And was she also a medical professional?
Correct.
What area did she practice in?
She was a registered nurse.
And did the two of y'all ever take any trips anywhere?
Yes.
Do you recall where?
We took a trip to Denver, Colorado. That was for my birthday weekend, April 10th of that year.
Fair approach again, Your Honor. Dr. Paniagua, let me show you what's marked as State's Exhibits 82, 83, and 84. Do these appear to be screenshots?
Yes.
And what is the name at the top of this screenshot?
Merland.
Would that be the same person that you just talked about, the nurse that you dated for a little while?
Yes.
As well with State's Exhibit 83. Does that appear to be a screenshot of a reservation that you made?
Yes, it's on Frontier Airlines.
Do you remember which trip that was?
That would have been the Denver trip.
And then looking at State's 84, does that appear to be a screenshot of the receipt that you received for the trip?
Yes.
Paid for it? Any reason either of State's Exhibit 82, 83, 84 would or should be on Brenda Delgado's cell phone?
No.
All right, we're off to States 82, 83, 84.
I have no idea.
Commissioner Bubbles?
You may.
So looking at States 82, that would be the screenshot of Merlandy's, a text message that's on from Merlandy to someone.
Yes.
And then looking at 83, that would be a screenshot of your travel arrangements or confirmation.
Yes.
And then looking at States 84, that would be a screenshot of the receipt paying for the trip.
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor? And those screenshots came from an email address. If you look at States 85 and tell us whose email address is on here.
Yes, that's my email address.
That's your email address?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You want to read off States 85?
Just wait, Coach Reed.
Is this an adjournment?
I'm sorry.
Is this a video?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just so the record, we had no objection.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bowles, Judge.
You may.
And on the screen in front of you, to the side of you actually, Doctor, do you see your email address?
Yes.
And would that also be your passcode?
At one point, yes.
So on September the 2nd, you eventually leave to go get something to eat. Do you remember about what time you got back to Kendra's apartment?
I went to get something to eat. That was around 8:15 p.m. I didn't go back to the apartment immediately. I went to my apartment as I was waiting for her. And then I leave my apartment around 9:30, a little after 9:30, to get back to Kendra's apartment. And then, go
When
ahead.
you left to go get something to eat, as far as leaving Kendra's apartment, did you notice a lot of commotion out on the street?
Yes, I did. There was at her underground parking entrance, there were police vehicles, and it seemed to be, it was blocked such that nobody would be able to get in. I actually sent a text message to her just kind of saying exactly that, basically, just to let you know, there's a lot of commotion going on in front of your parking structure and that you won't be able to get in this way. In other words, you'll need to park somewhere else.
And you end up coming back a couple hours later, I think you said.
Yeah, I left, I was sitting there eating for a little while, and then I ended up going to my place. The round trip was maybe about an hour, from about 8:30 to 9:30, 9:45. And then when I came back to Kendra's apartment, it was kind of how I typically do it, just kind of enter through the double doors of her complex and get buzzed into the front desk by the concierge. And then they would, typically they would be, they would bring me to the elevator area to bring me upstairs. And
What was different this time?
so this time, I asked if I could be, I was brought to the front desk, and I was asked if I can get buzzed up to Kendra's apartment. And then the concierge, John, he held up his hand and he said, "Hold on." And that's the moment when everything just kind of started coming together, as far as, the police vehicles not being able to get a hold of her. I mean, now I'm thinking worst case scenarios, and I'm just repeating myself, where's Kendra? Where's Kendra? I need to see her, please, buzz me up to her apartment. I was texting her. I said, they're not letting me up to your apartment. Please let me in. And then that's when they brought me to the back area of the concierge front desk, and a team of investigators and police officers were there, and that's
So the first time you heard of what had happened, it was from a police officer, the law enforcement?
No, actually, it was the concierge. It was John. He was the one that actually, because I kept asking repeatedly, is Kendra okay? Is Kendra okay? Is she still? And then I became even more specific. I said, is she still alive? And John said, no, I'm sorry, Kendra passed.
During this time, Doctor, this is a little shortly after Brenda Delgado has positioned herself as still your friend. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Had you ever mentioned Kendra Hatcher or anything about Kendra to Brenda Delgado?
Not specifically, no. I had made reference to that I was in a relationship and that it was going well, but I never gave any localizing nomenclature.
Do you have any reason to believe that Kendra and Brenda Delgado ever spoke to each other?
No.
And your communications with Kendra, you have text messages and emails and things of that nature with her. Would that be a fair statement?
With Ken?
With Kendra?
Yes.
Using your phone and then maybe your laptop or computer at work?
Yes.
And the Mexico trip, did you send any of that as far as the confirmation of the trip? Did you send a blind copy to Kendra with, itinerary and all that kind of stuff?
For the Cancun trip?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because with that trip, she bought the tickets to go there, and I bought the hotel. That's kind of how we had split it up. And
So hypothetically, if someone had access to your Facebook page, your cell phone information, or even your email, they would have seen that.
yes, they would have been able to see that.
And at least the way it's been described to me, your relationship with Kenya was moving pretty fast. It was
Yes.
turning into something special.
Yes.
I think you told me that both of you have recognized from each other that this had the potential to be something special. Is that fair?
Absolutely, yes.
And with that in mind, what kind of fund did you start?
We started a wedding fund.
Do you remember approximately when you started the wedding fund?
August.
August. And with respect to that month of August, so we know you started a wedding fund, as you just testified. During that time, you still have some final communications with Brenda Delgado.
Yes.
And do you remember what it was you were doing in terms of your last communications with Brenda Delgado?
In terms of,
Cell phone.
yes, so I was trying to kind of have her spin out and to have her own cell phone plan.
Had you been carrying her or helping her with her cell phone bill even though y'all no longer see each other?
Yes, she was on the plan from when we were dating.
And so what happens in August with that cell phone plan?
So I had been attempting several times to get her off of the plan, and mainly I was just putting it on her shoulders in terms of contacting the AT&T and getting something herself. And by the end of August, I was honestly kind of fed up with that, and so I just ended up contacting AT&T myself. And what Brenda had told me was that when she contacted AT&T, that they did not allow her to get her own plan because she didn't have the credit, and that she wasn't able to pay off the cell phone. And so basically I paid off the cell phone. I just wanted her to just be completely, off the plan. And that would have been kind of toward the end of August.
And was that the intent in terms of you making the final step to move on with your life, with your new love interest?
Yes.
And you had, or did you have plans soon to relocate from Dallas?
Yes, the trajectory was that I was working at UT Southwestern until about the middle of October of 2015, and then soon thereafter relocate to San Francisco, California.
Did you and Kendra have conversations about her going with you to California?
Yes, we had discussions about that.
And do you remember what your address was here in Dallas?
It was on Fitzhugh Avenue. I want to say it's 2737 North Fitzhugh Avenue.
Right by Central US 75?
Correct.
And what neighborhood would that be? Was that the Knox Henderson type of area?
Yes, it was close to that.
Pass the witness.
I don't have any questions for you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down and you're free to leave.
May this witness be finally excused, Your Honor?
I'm sorry, Judge, did you say?
He may.
State College Moses, Rosero.
Let the record reflect this witness is being sworn.
So would you introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is Moses Martinez.
And Mr. Martinez, kind of soft-spoken, so if you just pull that microphone a little closer to you. You move, you grant yourself.
Oh, like for...
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 24.
You live here in Dallas?
Yes, sir.
Born and raised here in Dallas?
Yes, sir.
Are you presently employed?
Employed? No.
Between jobs right now?
Do what?
Between jobs, would that be a fair statement?
No, I don't work right now.
And are you related to a woman by the name of Brenda Delgado?
Yes, sir.
How are you related to Brenda Delgado?
She's my cousin.
She- First cousin, second cousin, third cousin?
I think first cousin.
You're approach the witness, Your Honor. Moses, I'm going to show you what's already here in evidence of State Exhibit 79. Is this Brenda?
Yes.
And you said she's your first cousin.
First, I don't know. She's my second.
How often would you see Brenda?
I only saw her when I was a kid, and that was it.
At some point, she shows back up in your life.
I saw her whenever my sister went missing. When my sister was missing after she had gotten kidnapped, that's when her mom and Brenda were there to come say hi to us and see how everything was going.
Did Brenda seem to take a particular interest in you at that time?
Yes.
Trying to be a help?
Yes.
And looking back now, you have the opinion as to whether or not she was being genuine in terms of wanting to be a help.
Can you say it again?
So looking back now, knowing what you know now, do you think Brenda was being genuine with you, being real with you about wanting to be a help, or did she have other things in mind?
Like manipulate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she was being manipulated.
Now, did there come a point in time that Brenda asked if you would help her out with something?
Yes.
Has she talked to you about Dr. Ricardo Paniagua?
Yes.
Has she talked to you about how they had broken up?
Yes, sir.
Has she talked to you about how she wanted to get back at you?
Yes, sir.
Did she make any reference or talk to you at all about wanting, at least starting off, to hurt Dr. Paniagua?
Yes.
Just business, asking for your set of responses.
You can answer the question. Did she say anything about her?
Yes, she said that, but when she was talking like that, she was drinking at the time. Every time I would see her, she was not in the right mind. She was just, every time we would see her, like, she was just drunk. She was just drinking a lot. I don't know because of what was going on, but she wasn't there.
But she would have conversations with you about doing things like that, and then at some point, did those conversations turn to hurting a girl named Kendra?
Yes.
Now, did she ever talk to you specifically about how she wanted you to do it?
She just said she wanted me to hit her with the bat. And that's when I told her I didn't want to do that. Like, it's not worth hitting someone innocent. And I told my uncles, and then that's when we stopped talking because they didn't believe me.
Did you also tell your mom?
I told my mom, and my mom tried to talk to them. But nobody, would expect that. So they didn't believe me because they saw her as an innocent woman that would never do nothing. So after 5 months passed, nothing happened. And then when it did happen, then that's when they started believing me. And
It was a little late then, wasn't it?
yeah.
Now, you had mentioned a bat. She had said something about a bat to you. What does this appear to be to you?
It's a bat.
It's a bat? You know she had already bought a bat when she's talking to you about this?
Yes.
And that would be, I just showed you State's Exhibit 136.
Yes, sir.
made the decision that what she's asking you is not a good idea.
Yes.
Did she offer you help with your child support?
Yes, she offered me money.
She offered you money?
And I told her I wouldn't do it for money, for nothing.
What about a car? Did she offer help with the car?
Offered me car.
And you're not comfortable having to say these things. You
No, I'm
know
not.
what she was doing is wrong. Is that a fair statement?
Can you say it again?
You're not comfortable having to come in here and say these things, even though you know what she was asking
Yes,
is
sir.
wrong.
Yes, sir.
She is part of your family.
She is. But what she did was wrong.
Anybody have any questions for you, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You may stand down for you.
May this witness be excused, Your Honor?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take an afternoon break. It's about 2:25, and we'll be back in the jury room at 20 till.